and welcome. I'm excited to share today's topic with you guys. And this is really understanding how to break through your own constraints, as well as understanding your mind, right? This was in the name in the masterclass. And it really is a masterclass because I'm going to giving you a lot of information, more than just a webinar, so that you can really walk away empowered. So today's promise is that you will leave with a powerful understanding of resistance and have new pathways to freedom. So know when it comes to our constraints, which a lot of these are typically unconscious as you're about to learn, or we don't know about, just by the fact of you showing up here today, you're gaining a whole lot of power because you're going to bring your awareness, you're going to understand and see these patterns for what they are. And that's half the battle right there. So this can really be a true breakthrough for you wherever you're at in life, to just start to see the patterns that create you, to understand what I call the force of resistance that we're all facing, and you will just have a clear path forward so that you can really create that transformation. You can really experience that freedom and whatever that looks like for you. So before we get started, let's just ground into the present moment. We got people coast to coast here and even in England. So let's go ahead and just ground into the moment. We're going to start with 3 deep breaths. So wherever you're at, if you're sitting, if you're driving, whatever, just take a deep breath in. Let it all go. I know it felt a little bit of stress because having to send out the last minute new Zoom room, whatever you got going on too. Let's take another deep breath in. Let it all out. And the final biggest breath of the day, all the way in, as much air as it can, a little bit extra at the top, hold for a second, and then release. And if it's possible to close your eyes, I just want to invite you to also close your eyes and just go a little bit further into this present moment. Just feel and notice the sensation of your breath going in and out, breathing normally. And then bring your awareness to your feet, whatever is touching the ground. Maybe it's your bum, and just feel the sense of that ground holding you in this present moment. If you're in a chair, you can feel the sensation of the chair holding you. Just beautiful reminder is that underneath your feet, maybe you're in a building, but if not, eventually underneath your feet is the earth, is the ground. And Mother Nature, Mother Earth, Pachamama, is always there holding us and supporting us. Like our own mother, always sending us love, giving abundance of food and beauty and nature and all these things to explore. So just feel that warm motherly energy just kind of rising up into your feet, relaxing every part of your body as we get ready to go on this journey today. And with that, you can slowly open your eyes, and we'll go ahead and get started. And was just trying to help one more person hop into this Zoom room. But the computer's not wanting to help me. So let's get right into it. All right. My name is David Gilbert. I'm going to be your guide today. And I have a couple questions before we kick off. Number one, do I have your permission to teach beyond surface level advice? We got a small group here today, so feel free to throw things into the chat. Let's make this more conversational. Got one thumbs up. Beautiful. One's good enough for me. Oh, I got some more. All right. And number two, do I have your permission to explore the aspects of ourselves that we may get uncomfortable looking at? And you didn't know, it was kind of in the name, right? Our mental BS. Beautiful. Two thumbs up. That's going to be a majority vote, even though it's not. And lastly, can we have some fun? I hope we are all thumbs up on this one. If not, you're in the wrong spot. And maybe you showed up here today because you're here, right? I want to know why I'm struggling to change. And I know what it's like. And you go from there to ask the deeper question. Why do I struggle to break through? And then even further than that, if you're really in a dark spot mentally, you really start to wonder if I'll be like this forever. The short answer is no, you have the ability to break through. So know that if you stay to the end, if you are in that deep dark spot mentally, I have a free little ebook for you. This presentation is really my own distillation through my own experience and all these other things. And this ebook is a collection of different exercises from all different people and places. Why? Because I know for my own journey, I could just tell you my experience and what I've distilled, but different things have helped me in different spots of the journey. So pulling from different people, you never know which message is going to be the thing to really click and create that aha moment for yourself. So that's why I collected a bunch of different things from different people. So stay to the end and I will share this link. But meet your guide. My name's David Gilbert. I like to have fun and call myself Alchemical Guide because I'm here to help you transform and transmute your inner lead into gold. I am an executive coach. I also do masterminds, retreats, and intensives. I'm a co-founder of a men's work group and also a somatic breathwork practitioner. And I co-authored the book, Peak Performance Mindset Tools for Business, which you could find in your local Barnes and Noble. And my journey to today, it really started at the age of 11 when I suddenly lost my father to fighting fires. And I only share this because hindsight, I realized it completely shifted my life. If you ever lost a loved one suddenly, then you know this pain. You just ask why. And for myself, it made me seek answers, which has been the majority, like really my life calling to understand like what makes life worth living and why can life be so painful. And then in my 20s, I worked in marketing in the health and fitness industry. I was always passionate about health and fitness because I went through a lot of depression and I had valley fever and back surgery and all these things as a kid in high school. So that caused me to be passionate about health and fitness. I worked for the American Council of Exercise. I got certified as a personal trainer as well. And then January 2020, I lived my dream. I went for it. I always wanted to open a business all on my own. I did it. I signed the lease January 2020. Greatest time in our known history to open a brick and mortar store. Oh man. But I was excited because I not only got into, physical health, but that led to mental health and then also emotional health. And long story short, I got out of the store after a year and a half. I just never got momentum. It was an all thing mindfulness store. You can see meditation supply store. And coming through the other side, going for that dream, failing, I learned that my whole tattoo sleeves, which I'll talk about today, tells the story of the alchemical journey, which is a big part of my work. So it's led to where I am today. Now I get to help you unleash your inner alchemist, which really means help you be the master of your life and transform yourself. So I teach others and guide others. And I just do this under the brand of the golden life, right? Become the alchemist, master the art of self-transformation, unlock the superpowered transmutation. Because if you could turn your deepest lead, that's just what I call what we're talking about today, into gold, you can do anything. And who doesn't want to create more inner and outer gold? So lastly, I just want to share, this is for you to just know if you're in the right spot, so don't waste your time. If you're somebody that aspires to unlock your fullest potential and present version of yourself, also enjoy more ease and live in more flow with life, and create internal freedom from self-imposed limitations, and if you crave a deeper connection with yourself and the passion to create your dreams, a fulfilling life, making a positive impact, a life overflowing with self-love, and being able to trust yourself to generate internal and external abundance. And ultimately, you just seek deep down. Maybe you've never made this consciously aware. You seek an extraordinary life of freedom, love, and abundance. Well, that's what the golden life is about. And that's what this journey today is about, helping you get through constraint so you can embody freedom, love, and abundance. And I just have to remind you, I said I was going to keep it real and just tell the truth, that you are here. And this means that we typically think that, we show up to something like this, a masterclass, a potential breakthrough or transformation process. And we think that if we just kind of, go through the motions and continue as we are, we're just going along a straight line in life. Maybe we're not making the big leaps up the mountains that we're hoping to. But what's the truth? That if you don't choose to commit to breakthrough today, staying the same really means walking the downward spiral, right? Because what's going to happen? Eventually, you're going to hit some rock bottom where the pain is so great that you decide to commit to make a change. So your invitation today is to choose to commit today and push past that resistance so you can start the upward path up the mountain to make meaningful change. So that's really my question before we get started. Which one is it going to be? And you don't got to be like this guy. But hopping into today's presentation, this is a model I've created through my own experience, and I've just researched this force of resistance. I've battled so many internal dragons. You'll learn more in a second. But there's 3 levels of resistance. There's surface level resistance, there's deeper seated patterns, and then there's the mental prison. And we're going to spend the majority of the time talking about the deeper seated patterns, because that's what we're talking about when we talk about belief systems, right? But I have to acknowledge the surface level resistance first, because if we don't face this, you're never going to create lasting change. And this is the pain of fear, or fear of pain, we all battle on a daily basis. And like I said, I want to share the things the truth that will really help you change. Most people don't bring this up, especially in like a little webinar like this, because we don't want to hear it. We kind of know it, but we don't want to hear it. But I'll talk more in a second. And then deeper seated patterns. These are the belief systems that are typically unconscious that hold us back. And then lastly, the mental prison. By only identifying with the mind, we are naturally limited. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But level number one, surface level resistance. This is the fear of pain, or pain of fear. And this is what will keep you in your comfort zone, right? If you're struggling to break through, that means you're in some zone where you're stuck. And I'm about 99% sure it's a comfort zone. Because if not, you'd have so much pain that you would force yourself to shoot through the pain of fear, or fear of pain. So breaking through your belief systems means you will be pushing past your comfort zone. It's not an if, but when. And the more you can practice being uncomfortable past your comfort zone, the greater likelihood of lasting change. And if you could develop this skill, you can become anybody and do anything. So my first big question for you is, what's a small step you will take after this webinar to push through your comfort zone? If it came up right away, feel free to put it in the chat. But maybe you showed up today because you're here. You're like, David, this is great, but I just want to break through the noise in my head. Well, I get it. This was my original tattoo idea, like my second tattoo around the age of 20, when I was going to college in Pasadena. And it's my version of the classic Saint Michael killing the demon underneath them. And I was going to get this because I felt like I had a monster in my head. This monster was just this inner critic and always judging me, and it was so loud and like stealing my presence, sometimes stealing my sanity. And it was such a monster that I actually named him Freddy Cougar. Freddy, so you could see him down there. And I finally mustered up the courage uh, to draw this, and I was just so done. This was like my declaration, like I'm gonna defeat this monster in my head. I'm gonna get through this because it was driving me and not insane, but depressed to the point where I really questioned if life was worth living. And I finally mustered up the courage. I went to the tattoo artist in Pasadena and I showed him this and he looked at it and he kind of looked it over. I said, I want to get on my forearm. And after a little bit, he like looked at me and he was like, I'm sorry, dude. The way this tattoo is up, like it's not gonna look that good. The sword is gonna be all curved. Actually, it's gonna look so bad that I will not even put my name behind this. So I was like, I didn't say anything, but I was like, okay. But inside, I was like, really? I almost felt defeated. I finally mustered up the courage to declare to the universe, I'm gonna break through. It's literally gonna be tattooed on my arm. And I just got shot down. But good news is I went home and meditated on it. And what came up was interesting. It's this knight. This came up in a meditation, and it was a knight standing confidently. His shield was down, and there was this massive dragon, 10 to 100 times bigger. And it is what I have today. Did go through and was able to get this. And I share that because hindsight, over 10 years later, I've realized this is the path of getting through negative thoughts, right? Initially, we want to fight it. We want to fight those negative thoughts. But what happens if you fight negative thoughts? Maybe you're in that space right now and you go head to head with negative thoughts. It gives it more power. The battle becomes even stronger. It's more of a battle. Yeah, stay in the loop. Exactly, George. Feel free to share your own experience here, please. But hindsight, and you'll learn more in this presentation, right? The way to get through is to confidently challenge, to stand up courageously, to know which thoughts are worth fighting for and which ones, as you're going to learn, are worth transforming. So this is how negative thoughts feel, right? You're battling this monster in your head, but how you actually overcome them is to also acknowledge something else about the universe. And that is, I've learned hindsight, like I said, alchemy has been a big part of my life story because this black dragon is actually a symbol for the unconscious force of chaos. Now, I wasn't aware when I got this. It's been a crazy thing to understand. My whole sleeve tells a story of alchemy, but the black dragon symbolizes the force of chaos, which can also be our unconscious. And this is to say, we cannot defeat our unconscious mind, but we can change our belief systems, which will change our life. And you're also going to learn why we just have so many negative thoughts in the first place. And you'll be like, oh, okay, it's just part of being human. And kind of start to laugh it off as I do nowadays. So the question, I just want to plant this seed for this presentation. Maybe we'll get an answer in the Q&A. But what unconscious belief systems are running your life? And if you're like, David, I don't even know what you're talking about when it comes to unconscious. Well, I'm talking about we have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. So we typically think that our conscious mind is doing all the work. But what's the truth? Can anybody guess like how much, I'm kind of giving away in the picture, but how much like the subconscious mind works more than the conscious mind? And if you don't know the difference, the subconscious mind is doing all the things that we're not really aware of. 80, pretty close, George. It's you know, holding our habits, it's helping our heartbeat, it's helping our nervous system operate. It's taking over so we don't have to think about how to walk. We just know how to do all these things. All the things that you do that you don't have to think about is your subconscious working all the time. Same with your sleeping, it's your subconscious restoring your body. And the conscious mind really accounts for 5 to 10%. So pretty close, but even less than 80. And the subconscious mind runs 90 to 95% of the show. And I'll share more why in a little bit too. But I really want to instill this vision over you, first of all, right? When it comes to battling the negative thoughts, I want you to see your mind as your inner kingdom. And it's your role to be that knight, to understand that you do have the power, and you're going to learn why you have negative thoughts and more about this unconscious force and why we get in these negative beliefs. But you have the power at the end of the day to choose which thoughts you allow into your mental kingdom and which ones you don't. And the more that you do this, the more confidence that you'll gain. Then you'll be able to stand there just like that knight confidently all the time, able to filter through which ones are worth holding on to and which ones you just let go of. So know that you are a warrior. And just like if you were in a kingdom, you wouldn't let in, we have 60,000 thoughts typically in a day. So if there's 60,000 negative thoughts, 60,000 people attacking your kingdom, you wouldn't just let them in, right? You wouldn't just say, hey, come through the kingdom. Oh, yeah, let's have a feast. Let's have a good time. No, you would stop them at the gate. So that's your first invitation. So I will share the 3-part process of breaking through your BS in a minute. I want to go a little bit deeper into this. And this is to highlight that you are a being of beliefs. And then your beliefs, which the beliefs are in the subconscious mind, and your beliefs determine your behaviors. And your behaviors determine your life. This is why what you're doing today is getting to the root of how you create lasting change. This is the first major step to lasting change. So honor yourself for that. And belief systems can keep you limited or make you limitless. What I mean by that is, are your belief systems built on love or fear, on expansion or constriction? And the title of this masterclass was a little deceiving because you don't actually break through belief systems. What happens if you broke all your belief systems down and you didn't really have your subconscious mind kind of keeping everything together? Well, you forget how to get food into your mouth, forget how to wipe your bum, you forget how to do all the ordinary things that typically we do because you need belief systems. You need to know, create habits. You need to be able to create beliefs about the world so that you can navigate it. So you don't actually break through belief systems, you transmute them. You change them into more empowering belief systems. Now you're probably wondering, well, so how do I transmute my belief systems? Well, first, let's talk about why we even have limiting beliefs. And that is your mind is naturally limited, right? How has your mind evolved? Well, it's a biological tool to help you survive and perceive reality. So it's really helpful to understand its main goal is to help you live as the biological being that you are. And this means that it's looking for ways to avoid pain and seek pleasure. And this is another way to say it's wired to focus on 2 things: fears and goals. Like our inner core loves to transform, loves to expand and grow and see new things. And then our biological part is more focused on what? Our fears, because we're built to survive. So between the two, which one do you think you're going to spend most of your time, if you don't leave it unchecked, focusing on? Fears. It's the fears. So why do we have belief systems? Well, the brain is the highest energy consumer of your body. Therefore, it creates belief systems, which are really just habitual ways of being or thinking to help you effectively manage energy. That's why the subconscious has most of the computing. If your brain was a computer, has most of the programming and software, because it wants to create those habits to effectively manage energy. And then how do we get belief systems? Well, this can be formed through past experiences, societal conditioning, and just personal interpretations of life. But I share all this to really say your brain is wired for survival. also conditioned by the culture or society that you live in, and always scanning through the lens of uncertainty for threats. So, starting to see why we have negative thoughts now? It's just your brain doing its job, helping you survive, helping you scan the world for threats, helping you stay aligned with the belief systems of society so that you're a good citizen, and that helps your survival as well. Your brain's just doing its job. That's just its default programming, its default software that we're all given. But you're here, so that shows you want to upgrade your mental software. So, negative thoughts and fear based limiting beliefs are simply a natural byproduct of how our default mode works when it comes to our minds. But if being human isn't hard enough, not only do we have limiting beliefs, but we have all of our core wounds on top of that. We get to the core that tell us we're not enough or unlovable or fill in the blank. So, what are limiting beliefs? Well, limiting beliefs are deeply ingrained thoughts and assumptions that we hold about ourselves and the world around us. And limiting beliefs can greatly affect our life by creating a self-imposed limitations and barriers because our beliefs create our perception and hold our perception. And if we have limiting beliefs, we'll never be able to break through our internal reality, and that affects how we show up externally. So, by the fact of you being human, I know you share some of these limiting beliefs. And if you feel brave enough to share in the chat, go for it. But we all have some form of this, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy of whatever. I'll never succeed. I'm powerless. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm not important. I'm not worthy of abundance. And I can share my own story. This is me when I was about 3 or 4, and this was really one of the peak moments of my life. I was the little kid by the light, the happy little boy, and that was probably one of my happiest moments as a kid, because this was one of the last moments where my parents were together. And at no fault of their own, we all go through the experiences, we need to go through, and we're all just doing our best. But when they split, there was a period of them. I have this like that came up in a hypnosis session of them screaming at each other. And I was screaming at them to get them to stop yelling. And they did not even notice me. It did nothing. So, what happened in that moment? Well, I had a wound that felt like I was powerless, that I wasn't good enough because I couldn't stop them from yelling at each other and eventually divorcing, as well as I'm voiceless. And this is just a testament of me being here and talking in front of you guys that you all have the potential to break through your most deepest limiting beliefs. Because if you caught me trying to do this presentation 5 years ago, I'd be sweating. I'd be losing track of what I was going to say. My nervous system would be going haywire. My heartbeat would be through the roof. Because I also had a limiting belief that I'm voiceless. And to this day, sometimes getting in front of people like that, the little 3-year-old tries to kick in and still have the power. But we all have the potential to find freedom. But the deepest layers of freedom are going to be going into the deepest core wounds. But it's not as bad as you think. That's what I really want to instill into you today. Growth, exactly. We all have the ability to grow. So your core limiting belief will always subconsciously control you until you bring them to your conscious awareness. And this is like where I started the webinar for those that were, hopped on early, right? Just by you being here shows that you're on the path, that you will eventually work your way to freedom because getting aware of those unconscious patterns is half the battle. So the question is, this is one I want you to start to bubble up the answer, and we'll do Q&A in a minute. Like, what are some core limiting beliefs that you feel like are holding you back? You don't have to know it for sure, but if you had to put your finger on something that at least start like a flashlight into the dark room of your unconscious, What would that be? What comes up when I ask that? So this is really quick. This is the deeper seated patterns. And I want to share before hopping into the other slide, like what is this path to really break through deeper seated patterns? I just really distilled it down to 3 words to make it as simple as possible. Reflect, release, realign. Worth writing down, right? Reflect, release, realign, because this is a micro, and macro pattern. When it comes to negative thoughts, what do? You have thoughts that come into your brain. You reflect, is this thought worthy of entering my mental kingdom? I'm a piece of fill in the blank. No. Okay. I'm going to release that thought and then I realign to who I'm becoming or what I'm committed to creating in life or how I'm committed to showing up or that goal, right? Your brain will naturally go towards fear. You can almost see it as fear trying to get into your mind. No, come back to love. What is that belief? What is that goal that drives you through love? That's the realign. Same with your deeper seated patterns, right? You reflect. Is it true that I'm voiceless? Even when I get up in front of people and that like it activates in the nervous system sometimes. It's this old pattern like I'm about to show that can still show up. Oh no. Okay, let's take 3 deep breaths. I did that for me just as much as you with the stress before getting in here. Release. No, that's not true. Actually, at this point, it's just silly. Like I just see a little angry 3-year-old at this point and just kind of laugh it off and like love them. Oh, thank you. Thank you, little David. Realign back to the present moment. All right, let's go. So this is the bigger process and also reflecting on what those deeper core patterns, the subconscious, if you continue to ask yourself, coming back to the question, what are the core limiting beliefs holding you back? Eventually your subconscious is going to bring it to your awareness in some weird way. You'll be watching a video, somebody will be talking about this and it'll pop up. Or you hop on a conversation with me and I'll reflect it back and you'll know it. Or you grab your journal and you journal on it and weeks later, it'll just come up. You start to bring this to awareness. And I've had this question asked, like, what does it look like to break through? This is the real picture, especially when it comes to the deeper seated limiting beliefs. It's this big unconscious pattern that just, when you're not aware of, you're like a puppet on a string. And then you break through. And then what might take you years or even decades to work through now takes you months. You have this negative feeling, you don't know why. Well, your core wound, your core limiting belief got activated in some situation. It could be literally anything. And then what took months will eventually take weeks. And then what takes weeks eventually takes minutes, down to seconds. And there's always some little form, because it's part of your story, that will just be part of your history, but you absolutely can break through. Now, coming back to your core limiting beliefs will always subconsciously control you until you bring them to your conscious awareness. I do want to share there's a critical step to breaking through. And I just like to share resources. If you've never read the 4 agreements, this is going to help you really embody personal freedom and go deeper into belief systems. This is a book I make everybody that works with me on a deeper level, a deeper journey, longer journey read. So I just want to share this quote from this book. And it's the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. If you haven't checked it out, super short read, really powerful book. But this quote, if you want to live a life of joy and fulfillment, you have to find the courage to break those agreements that are fear-based and claim your personal power. The agreements that come from fear require us to expend a lot of energy, but the agreements that come from love help us conserve energy and even gain extra energy. So I just want to plant that seed for you, right? We're transforming our beliefs into love-centered beliefs. And we do it through the process of reflecting, releasing the old beliefs, and realigning to beliefs built on love. So ready for the critical step to know about, and then we're going to hop into Q&A. And that is, in order to fully release stage number 2, the kind of critical stage, You must honor it. What does that mean? That means typically, if it's a, let's say, a negative or unwanted feeling, like a hard feeling that comes up that's attached to your old belief system, you got to feel that fully. You got to honor it in some way, typically by letting it go through your heart and then releasing it. So the good news is, if you're like, David, I do not want to feel intense emotions. Like, what are you talking about? I got to feel it fully. You're crazy. I'm hopping off this webinar, this masterclass. Well, good news is that really intense emotions typically last no longer than 90 seconds. This is something I help people experience for themselves. And the really powerful thing is once you realize that, the fear starts to dissipate. And just like going back, you don't stay in that pattern as long because you're not as afraid. And to tie it into the beginning, you're not as afraid as well as pushing your comfort zone because you know you can work through those intense emotions. So thank you guys. I know we went deep. I shared a lot. Before I get into the summary, I want to open this up. If anybody wants to come on, they can do so. If you have any questions, now is the time to share. You can put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself. Um, and yeah, let's hear what questions you have. This is a small group, so we could even jump in if you know a limiting belief of your own. Or maybe you're like, I'm so conscious, David, of everything now, I'm ready. How can I get past the fear of settling? JC, do you want to share a little bit more and unmute yourself?
Yeah, actually I can. It's so interesting because I actually came across this masterclass today, but this morning, like I've been making a lot of shifts in my life, like, around like forgiveness, self-compassion, changing my mindset. And
Yeah.
then today, kind of just what popped up again, it's just like how unsatisfied I feel with my love life in particular. And like, this is like something I've been like kind of like exploring for the past, few weeks. I would say years in total, but like I just started like crying about it like today out of nowhere and just feeling really sad. And I just kind of like have this fear of like um settling and just being unhappy and like maybe even coming to peace with, you know what, maybe I might have to like settle in this area or something. Like I don't know what it is, but like, and when I was telling you about like making a lot of mindset shifts, like for a long time I would tell you that I'm unhappy with my life, I feel a void, I feel like something's missing, but I'm at a point where I can't say like I don't feel like anything's missing, but I just don't know what it is that I'm feeling like. And I've been feeling like last night, it's like there's something that I'm yearning for, but I know I'm not missing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for hopping on here and being vulnerable and sharing all that. First of all, I mean, look at you're going through the process. You let yourself feel fully and cry, even though it probably wasn't the most fun. Uh, so they're right. I mean, that is a huge win in of itself. Like you're allowing yourself to go through the motions. And then it sounds like you kind of went through that and then kind of came to this new awareness that you're okay with your life. Now there's still something not missing, but you're like kind of pulled maybe to create. Am I understanding you right?
Do you think that's what it is? Because I'm like trying to figure it out myself. Like I even like went on a really deep meditative walk last week, trying to like explore like the ins and outs. I kind of had like some like um I kind of like got like through some discoveries, but I feel like there's like this type of like big breakthrough or something that I'm looking for. And it's been like more of like little things that I'm seeing shift in my life, but nothing big. But I feel like kind of to answer your question, maybe it could be that. And I actually just don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Love it. And like we love the big breakthroughs, right? Because they're like sexy. But it's often those little tiny decisions stacked over time that make like big, longer lasting change as well. So don't not give power to the little breakthroughs that accumulate over time. But to your point of what you were saying, settling, and even that, like, if we were just to take the frame of a belief system, and we kind of talked about love or fear, right? Choosing growth and like possibility that you could step into versus like fear of old stories and evidence and that dictating your life now, like which one do you feel like that leans into?
Say that last part again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So when it comes to that feeling, that belief of having to settle, simply put, does that feel like a belief built on fear or love?
Definitely fear.
Yeah. So JC, how would you feel if I told you a week from today you're going to meet the perfect person? Everything that you wrote down in your journal that you're looking for in a partner, they're going to show up and they're going to just enter your life and it's going to be beautiful. How would you feel?
I'd honestly feel excited.
So, which one's more true?
Hmm. Which one's more true in terms of what, like settling or the perfect person?
This, which one's more true in the future?
I mean, I think it's like I feel like the answer would be like it depends on my belief.
Yeah, and but even more in this moment, like which one's more true?
I would like to say the perfect person coming into my life.
Yeah, it's kind of a trick question, right? Because it's
Yeah.
the real answer is I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But the present moment, our brains are wired for uncertainty, right? So we're focused through fear, through the lens of fear, moving forward, and we use our past to dictate the future. But what's true about this present moment? It's infinite possibility. So with that, it could be just as true. It like is just as true that that person could be there a week away. So this might be a little bit of a leap, for everybody on here, but the deeper true is we have the choice in the moment to choose where we put our focus, right? You could step into that world right now. I'm going to meet my perfect partner in a week. And you can allow yourself to feel that joy and excitement and just that like knowing that it's coming. Or you could also choose to let the fear of I'm going to have to settle and that's just how it's going to be, which if we play that out, you're probably going to go through life a little bit more hunched over. You're probably going to be a little bit more blindsided to doors that are opening near you. But if you walk through the lens of, oh, I'm going to meet my perfect partner in a week, that little extra joy and potential possibility, you might go do, say yes to something you normally wouldn't say yes to. And then a different door opens that was never there if you chose the belief of fear. Can you see how that kind of plays out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how does that feel on the moment?
Honestly, it feels more better. I think it's kind of like, taking that, like what you said, into practice, which I have been like doing, but it's just like the emotions, they're inevitable. They pop up, but I'll definitely start to reframe the way I think about it.
Beautiful. Like, that's it. And like, I really hope this masterclass for everybody listening, like, we are going to continue to have those thoughts pop in. Oh, what if I never? Oh, what if this goes horribly? Oh, what if whatever? But remember, you're the knight in front of your mental kingdom. Is that going to serve your love, your freedom, your joy in this moment? No. And the more you can kind of redirect your focus to the goals, to that positive thing in your life, and something I talk about is that what you are creating and possibility versus uncertainty, well, more doors open up, and the more doors open up, and then you realize the universe can surprise you, and then you start to see weird synchronicities happen, and the next thing you know, this thing appears in your life that you never thought was possible because it started with a shift internally in the moment. So yes, it's absolutely a practice. If I had to distill down this whole journey, it comes down to two things: awareness, which is so much of the work, which we talked about today, and then number two, practice. And like practicing releasing the negative beliefs, practicing realigning to the positive beliefs built out of love and possibility. So I hope that serves you. I see another question from George. Does this have to do with getting out of the lack mentality? I feel like I'm focused so much on what I don't have and lose sight of what I truly want. Absolutely, George. And you can even hop on and share too if you want. We got a little bit of time. I'm going to go a little bit over today, guys, maybe like 10 minutes. I just want to serve you as much as I can. But this is also to highlight like our brains are wired for uncertainty, or you could also say looking for lack. Once again, right? I really want to drive this home for you guys. So, you know, it's a big reframe to realize how much abundance we actually have. And I know it gets hard, and I know life is really hard right now. And the extra stress kind of shuts down your brain and it makes it even harder to really feel that. But there was a time I was sitting as a kid, just as one little story. I was sitting as a kid and I was sitting on a piece of grass and I was looking at this 1 inch by 1 inch square of grass. And I saw a bug. I saw the grass growing. I think I saw a little weed in there and realized, you know what, there's probably some worms under there and some microbiome. And it was this aha moment of there's more abundance in that 1 inch by 1 inch square piece of grass than entire areas of our own universe. So there's a lot of little things we can do to reframe where we're at in life because our brain will naturally put ourselves into a scarcity mindset. Our society in the United States is also built upon a scarcity mindset. Because if things are scarce, you're going to have to consume more and keep our economy going. So, no, it's not no fault of your own. It's our default mode of our brain, as well as society stacked on top of that, that is going to keep us focused on scarcity. But there's also, I mean, we live in an infinite abundance of possibility in this universe. So I know that's really high level thinking, George, but if you want to share anything more, feel free, and I'll give space for one more question, and then we'll kind of move on. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. And this is the process of like breaking through this mindset we all kind of share of lack, disconnection, and uncertainty. When there's so much abundance, there's so much possibility, and there's so much love to be had in the universe. But we have to retrain our brains. And when you start to understand that's just the natural operating system of our brains, like, oh, okay, I can start to upgrade. And it's going to take practice. Belief systems, sometimes you can just shift it instantly. And sometimes it's like a highway. You got to create a whole new highway in your brain to have that be the default mode of your brain. But by bringing it to the light, those unconscious parts, they no longer control you. So even that scarcity, like we all get stuck in scarcity mindset, especially with like the economy at the time of shooting this, right? August of 2024, we're all like, I don't know what's going to happen next. Well, it's just our brains doing our job. But when we could ground in the present moment, like we started this masterclass, some deep breaths, feeling Mother Earth, settle you into the moment. Think about how much Mother Earth, she is able to support 8 billion humans. Like, that's one hell of a mother. And we can grow. We can continue to grow if we want to, but she's able to support that many people. So think about how much abundance is here. And coming back to Pachamama is such a beautiful practice in of itself. The beauty, the food, all the things. So coming back to today's summary, thank you guys for sharing and being vulnerable. I really hope that that starts to stick for you. And know some of these things I'm sharing are like seeds going into your brain, And eventually over time, they'll blossom into fruits, and then you'll really feel that abundance, that love, that freedom. So understanding the three levels of resistance. There's surface level resistance, right? The daily resistance we all face. There's the deeper seated patterns and the mental prison, which I didn't have really time today to talk about the mental prison. That's to really get in touch. There's an essence deeper than your mind, the infinite energy of the cosmos that makes up who you are in your core, is something you can learn how to identify more with than just your limited mind. But that's a talk for another day. So you are a being of beliefs, and your beliefs determine your behaviors, and your behaviors determine your life. So you can see how deep of work this is to transform your beliefs. And I really hope you're ready to step into becoming the knight of your mental kingdom, right? The warrior willing to fight for those bigger, better belief systems. And really quick, I just saw Jose's hand go up. Do you want to share, Jose? Nope, George. Maybe it was George. Sorry. Um, I don't know if that like lag time or something. So really drive home. It's being the knight of your own mental kingdom. And this is the superpower transmutation, right? We're taking those beliefs built on fear and turning them into gold by transforming into love, into abundance, into possibility. And I promise you, if you just stay with the process, eventually you will fully break through. Like you guys showing up here today is you being on the journey of breaking through. You already made a big process, whether you feel like you know that deeper seated pattern yet or not, just by asking your brain, by reflecting, you'll come to it. By releasing and feeling it fully, just like JC shared, like she just woke up and started crying today and didn't know why. Well, she's going through the process of releasing. You have to feel it fully. You have to let it work through you. And those old belief systems usually have repressed emotions attached to them. So that's why sometimes you make little breakthroughs or a big breakthrough and all these feelings come up and you're like, what's going on? It's part of the process. And then you realign. You realign to those new belief systems. You realign to love. You realign to seeing possibility, or you realign to goals and what you're creating in life. So what I take people through is what I call the alchemical journey. It's like a mix of the hero's journey, an alchemical process of turning lead into gold. It's the ancient art of alchemy that I've learned, tells the whole tattoo, the whole sleeve of my tattoo. So I just want to share some stories of lead into gold and what it looks like, next steps, if you want me to help you break through on a deeper level and turn your lead into gold. Number one, Barbara, she's a health coach. And her core leads were, I don't deserve love, I'm not good enough, and I don't matter. And took her through the alchemical journey. And how this showed up in her life is that she didn't have, she had trouble speaking up for her needs and taking care of herself. Who can relate? Putting other people first, maybe a little bit of a people pleaser. And this made her also struggle with her business because she also lacked the self-care practices. And then she had poor health conditions and didn't sleep well. And then she's stuck in this negative cycle that just keeps going, right? This pattern that keeps going. But we transmuted that lead to allow her to fully feel and start to really embody that acceptance and self-love. And I love this quote for those people pleasers out there. Being selfful is not selfish. That came through her while working together here in San Diego. Being selfful is not selfish. And the hindsight, about a year later, at the beginning of this year, when we worked together a year before that, she came to me wishing to start writing again, but a year later, she would end up being an Amazon bestseller and she got her book out into the world. So working through these beliefs have such a remarkable impact on the trajectory of her life. We don't even realize what those seeds can blossom into. Now her business is growing while she's able to speak from her heart. Meet Paul. He's an entrepreneur. He is a hustler and he knows how to get after it. But he also had this core lead that he has to be perfect to be loved. And you always have to hustle to make more money. So This caused him to live with unrealistic expectations of himself and those around him. His business could never break through his revenue ceiling, no matter how hard he tried. And I just see, I want to acknowledge it's 12 o'clock. If anybody has to hop off and you're asking about the worksheet, yes, email me after this, David at Golden Life Coaching, and I will send you the link directly. I want to respect you guys this time. I'm probably like 5 to 10 more minutes and we'll be fully wrapped up. So just email me, David at Gold. I'll just put it in the chat since we did go over today. And we will get right there. I think I spelled everything right. Not the best speller. Yeah. So Paul, this being perfect, maybe you're a perfectionist too. I know I had some of that. Caused him to live with unrealistic expectations, as well as those around him, which only caused more tension. And then being a high performer, being an entrepreneur, he thought he always had to hustle more to make more money. Well, Peak Performance, co-authored one of the books, is really about stress plus rest equals growth. So he could never break through his revenue ceiling, no matter how hard he tried. But when we transform these core leads, he broke the idea of having to be perfect, and he can really settle into being perfectly imperfect, which we all are. If you didn't know, uh, you are perfectly imperfect in this moment. As well as the outer gold, he sent me this text like a week later, a little 1 or 2 weeks after working together, because he made more time for play and recovery, and this gave him a new sense of vitality and authenticity. And he said, David, I just want to let you know I'm having my best 10-day period ever when it comes to the growth of my business, and I'll have to do our time together. Turns out you can play a lot, make a lot of money, and help a lot of people simultaneously. That is what I'm all about. That's one of the greatest texts I've ever received. And he also shattered his revenue ceiling of 250K annually. And then meet Chris. He's a sales manager. And he's really a testament that if he can break through his lead, we all have the opportunity. Why do I say that? Because he called me up. He said, David, I'm cursed. I've had 4 close suicide, past lovers, as well as family members. But I've also attempted suicide myself. He's like, I believe I am not meant to find love because everybody I love ends up passing or leaving or something horrible. And we worked through this. We went through the proven alchemical journey. We turned the lead into gold. And he released feeling cursed, was able to reframe his struggle into newfound purpose. And just to share, when he really started to shift, from being cursed, feeling legitimately cursed, he saw himself in this new light as the shepherd of lost souls. Like, oof, like he got to be the light and the person to pour love into that person before they moved on. Like, so powerful. And because of that, what he's been through in this process, he could trust in life and his ability to make things happen. And I can share now, being a couple years later, I've got to see him excel in all areas of life. He thought he'd never find love. Well, 6 months later, he found somebody that he was dating in the past, and they got together, and now in this moment, they're engaged. So he was able to transform his life. And even when he's in the thick of it now, he's like, yeah, I know it's hard, but I know I'm going to get through this. Like, I've already transformed my lead into gold. So I know I'm empowered to do whatever. And that's really to share the alchemical journey. It's these 7 steps I take people through. This is the longer program, the longer journey, which is really super, short overview, discovering your limited mindset, right? We started the process today, the very beginning of this journey, then releasing the repressed emotions, and then forgiving yourself and others, and then reframing the past and committing to newfound purpose, and then just integrating more self-love, really just saying practice is the fermentation of integrating more self-love, freedom, and fulfillment, and then learning how to reset your nervous system when you need to and have those self-care rituals because life will get stressful. And then understanding the integration journey, which I call the integration to embodiment to crystallization of your higher self. Because alchemists, we tend to think of them as the crazy dudes trying to turn lead into the gold, but they're really applying the process to themselves so they can embody their highest versions of themselves into form. So I know we went a lot. To bring it all home today, I'm going to remind you, because I love you guys and I do want to see you transform, right? Which one are you going to commit to? Are you going to commit to your growth, to stepping outside your comfort zone, or are you just going to continue to cruise? Because if you continue to cruise, you're, well, no longer unconsciously. Before this masterclass, you'd have the excuse. You're choosing to go down the downward spiral until things get so hard that you have to make a change. And why do I offer this? Because I've been in that place, that mental space of will I be like this forever, to now, getting to share what I've learned in the journey with others through the golden life and help them take their lead and turn it into gold. And this was my path, stumbling my way all around the mountain. And I offer the alchemical journey because if you want a straight and narrow path, step by step, every, step of the way, that's an opportunity. And what does it look like to get started with that? Well, really, the lead of your past can weigh you down or propel you to new heights. So if you're ready to break through your BS and experience a new level of internal freedom, so you can create a golden life of your choosing, your invitation is to break through a lifetime of BS in less than 2 hours. So you can quickly dissolve your lead as quickly as possible and start enjoying new abundance of self-love, peace, and newfound purpose. You want assistance on the path. And what this looks like, I offer a BS deep dive session, break through your BS deep dive session. And this is really just 2 hours. It doesn't typically take 2 hours, usually 90 minutes-ish. And I just reflect back your life story and we bring those unconscious belief systems to the surface. And you get to see that lead for what it is. And I get to help you see the other side and break through. And I also share a lot more advanced tools to help you stay empowered long after our time together. So this session, the process, what it looks like, $250. And this can be used as a deposit to go further into the journey. Some people have this session and they're good. Actually, a lot of people do. And this is 2 hours via Zoom. Now, the golden guarantee is that if you don't break through at least one core limiting belief, you don't have to pay anything. I'm all about getting results and serving as powerfully as I can. But as a thank you for just being with me today, going 10 minutes over to, I have a special offer, and that's you can book a session without paying anything. I only offer it to people that go this deep into the journey because I know you're committed and you just really you're eager to learn and create that transformation in your life. And I don't have a lot of these slots scheduled starting to pick up in later September as well. So no, with this survey link, this is going to lead you to a survey about today's presentation. This will also have the link to the ebook. There will be a section where I'll ask, would you like to work with David? All you have to do is say yes or no. And if you say yes, you'll have access to book a 2-hour session on my calendar. I'm putting myself out there with these because I'm not making you pay anything. And there's sometimes people who don't show. And I value time really highly and I have other things going on, kids to pick up and all the fun things. But no, I want to make this accessible as possible. It's my goal to help as many people find internal freedom as possible. And this is how I get to share my gifts with the world. So it's going to be donation based. I will meet you where you're at. After the session, I'll share how you pay a donation and you get to share what feels right and what you're capable of paying. So this is your invitation to experience freedom, abundance, and walk away more empowered to transform your life while only paying what you can, or that payment can go towards a deeper journey of transformation. So I'll come back to the last question before we hop off. Thank you guys for staying with me this long. What is that small step you will take after this webinar to push through your comfort zone, right? If you're going to break through, it's going to be new unknown lands and it's going to be new feelings and let yourself feel them. But what are you committed to? And what small step are you going to take today? So just fill out this short 2-minute survey and you'll be able to have access to this ebook if you're stuck in negative thoughts. That also will have the link to the calendar so that you could book a session if you want to go deeper into uncovering your limiting beliefs. I'll put this link in the chat to make it really easy for you guys. And it's been an honor to share this time with you guys. No, the survey is like super short. I like to hear if there's anything I can do to make it better and what was impactful for you. So thank you guys. My final thing is you are the alchemists. And I also have a podcast out now. You can just search The Golden Life, Become the Alchemist. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes. I share lots of stories, especially like the first 3 episodes are about what we talked about today. And then I get more into transforming lead into gold because that's what I'm passionate about. Thank you, Sylvia. Yes, I really want to share as much as I can. Thank you guys. Stay golden. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And you could always email me at david@goldenlifecoaching.com with any questions. I am here to serve and to be an alchemical guide for you and everything else. So have a beautiful rest of your day, guys. Adios. See you. Stay golden.